Local 4 News starts now with a forewarned weather alert.
And it is a forewarned weather alert. We begin here at 10, taking you on the roads in Oakland County. You can see it's still a slow go tonight, and it's a race against the clock for the salt trucks to do their jobs before a freeze pushes in.
Power outages trickling in, too, as the snow comes to an end, but the winds start to pick up right now. More than 80,000 DTE customers without power tonight. Linemen, we're told, working around the clock to try to restore power as this Arctic blast kicks into full mode. We will get to that in just a moment.
And all eyes are still on Exact Track 40 radar. The snow fell, and now it's the rain's turn to push in before another round of snow moves in tomorrow. It's what the forewarned weather team has been tracking all week, and it's far from over. All right, first the snow, now the rain, and the wind is going to pick up as well. Thanks for joining us this snowy Friday. I'm Damon Fernandez in for Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. Our first winter storm of 2024. We have kept close eyes on it. No plans of it letting up just yet, but it's going to get complicated. Before we get to the weather, though, let's look at the road conditions right now. This is 5 hours ago. Snow accumulated pretty quickly during the evening drive. You see here the drive home from work was a tricky one for many people. We'll get a look at how the roads are tonight now here in just a moment. But first, let's turn our attention to the weather. Really been tricky on this forecast, a real mix of things, and yet so much more complicated stuff to come.
Yeah, let's turn things over to Kim Adams. She's been busy tracking this winter storm all day for us. And Kim, the concern now is potential freezing and the possibility of more power outages.
Yes, and that is a real concern. In fact, tomorrow could be even worse than today, not as far as the heaviest snow, but the winds picking up and temperatures dropping. Now, this was a very complicated storm, but at least it has played out as far as the timeline exactly as we had anticipated, with rain moving in after 9 o'clock, and it continues to move to the north until about midnight tonight, and then some cold air is going to settle in. So it just really depends on where you live as to what you're getting right now. It's raining in Southgate, Lincoln Park, Melvindale, Dearborn, Hamtramck, and in downtown Detroit. Grosse Pointte's getting a little bit of light rain, and then you go back out to the west and you can see that rain snow line right there just to the southeast of Brighton. Howell is getting snow, but Brighton's getting kind of a mix right now, and Salem getting rain. Northville's drying out with just some drizzle. Farmington Hills, also Wixom and Franklin are dry at this hour, but that rain will continue to move northward as we go through the next several hours, but it has definitely started to taper off. In fact, you can see here in northern parts of Indiana and the northwest part of Ohio, it's already started to come to an end, but there'll be more snow ahead for us tomorrow. Key thing right now, the temperatures. We're still rising as of right now as this warm air works its way in, but it's going to take a while to get up into those northern counties. So 40 downtown, 41 at City Airport, upper 30s in Mount Clemens. So above freezing on the east side where we're getting that rain, but you go back out to the west and it's at or near freezing, but temperatures are climbing before they'll start to drop overnight tonight. So here's the storm timeline now. Between now and midnight, there'll be periods of rain if you live northwest around Howell and Brighton. You'll continue to see a mix here for the next couple of hours. Then between midnight and 2 a.m., we start to see that changeover back to light snow. It won't be the heavy wet snow that we had earlier this evening, but whatever falls will fall as snow. And then there's more snow ahead for Saturday, as much as 1 to 3 inches. The big story Saturday will be how windy it is. So far, we've got some snow totals in. They continue to come in. The big one, as we expected, northwest of Detroit, little higher totals. The west side versus the east side, 7 inches in Highland, 6.2 in Ann Arbor, 5 inches Livonia, Lapeer 4.8, Bloomfield Hills 4.5, and Rochester Hills right at 4 inches. Well, if you were sitting there tonight and you thought, did I just see lightning and hear thunder? You did, and I'll explain why. Plus, we'll look more in detail as to what's to come tomorrow.
All right, Kim, we'll see you in a little bit. And you hate to say it, close to 90,000 people right now are without electricity across southeast Michigan because of the heavy snow and gusty winds.
Jacqueline Francis live tonight with what DTE is trying to do about that. Jacqueline.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big problem. But first, let's take a look at the road. We're on Ford Road in Dearborn, and conditions are so much better than they were earlier. Right now, the roads are just really wet, a little bit slushy, especially on those side roads. But that's a whole lot better than that snow we were dealing with earlier on that evening commute. Now, imagine, though, a lot of those people who had to put up with that snow had to get home, took longer than usual. Well, they got home to find the power out. The lights are flickering in Westland, and it can only mean one thing: a brownout due to the snowstorm.
And I see a lot of lines down right now all over the place, so a lot of heavy snow.
Some people are out of power entirely.
This big tank right here will last me about 6 hours with my generator.
Jim Rudy has been here before.
I got a generator, and it's typical around this area that we get power out like 5 times a year. So
Other Westland residents are learning as they go.
We're native Californians. We just moved out here not too long ago, so we're still getting accustomed to, the power outages.
Across southeast Michigan, DTE is reporting tens of thousands of outages, mostly due to ice and snow building up on tree branches and power lines.
Some teams have already been strategically placed in the field to respond.
The company saw it coming, holding a news conference Friday morning. With more winter weather on the way, it could be a few days before the lights are back on.
We have another house in Saginaw, and we know that the power is on there. We talked to our neighbors up there, so we're heading up to Saginaw. We're going to drive nice and slow.
Drive nice and slow. That's exactly what we're doing out here tonight. I think that's the way to go. Of course, if your power is out, be sure to check DTE's outage maps for updates. Reporting live in Dearborn, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
All right, Jacqueline, we take a live look now over at Metro Airport, where winter weather has been causing a number of issues. At last check, flights have been canceled, delayed because of the snow. In fact, now's a good time to remind you, best to check and see if your flight is still on schedule before you leave home and get out into the mess. So it's been a mixed bag all over Metro Detroit, starting back with rush hour, which was a real slog, and then as it turned to rain.
Yeah, along the way, piles of snow, crashes, and jackknife semi on the Ambassador Bridge, causing a big-time backup on I-75. Now, Mara McDonald has been traveling the area all night, and she's joining us from Farmington Hills right now. How are things looking out there, Mara?
Demond, I've got good news, and I've got good news at this point. We have been on 75, we have been on 696, we have been on the Lodge. And at this point, all these freeways are clear, okay? They're wet. Really, really wet, but they're clear. However, I want you to try and take a look at where we are on Northwestern right now. Is it icy? No. Is it a pitted, rutted mess? Yes. If this all freezes over in an hour or two, is it going to be really awful? Yes, but for now, we're in a sweet spot, which I think is terrific. So if you've got someplace to go, now is the time to do it. I will tell you, we've been talking to all these road commissions tonight. They tell us they've got a plan for everything. Take a listen.
Nobody got anywhere quickly after 3 o'clock this afternoon. The freeways were a slow crawl and really just round one of what is shaping up to be a patchwork quilt of a weather weekend.
We not only are prepping our trucks and now we're actually actively out there treating roads, but we're also, some of our crews that are a completely different set of crews are looking at our pump houses, making sure those are operating properly and ready to go.
In case the rain causes flooding, Wayne, like Oakland, has about 100 drivers on the roads right now. First order of business, clear the snow. We're now in the second part of this equation, which is rain. All that salt that's been put down to help prevent freeways from turning into luge runs, what's being washed off as we speak, which means after midnight, everybody's starting from scratch. Add on top of that, the plunge in temperature, it all adds up to one thing: ice.
We can handle anything. We're response ready here in the county, but ultimately, if I have my choice, I'd rather take what we're dealing with right now over black ice any day.
Back here live, I can tell you black ice is coming. I can also tell you the roads are really wet. The freeways are clear right now. If you've got somewhere to go, now is the time to do it. But secondary roads, we're turning onto Orchard Lake right now. They're really pitted. If and when this freezes over, it's going to be a problem. Demond, Devin, we're live in West Bloomfield right now. Back to you.
All right, Mara, a sweet spot is good. Let's hope we can keep the good news coming. Keep our fingers crossed. And you're going to want to keep your eye on the Forewarn Weather app as this snowstorm moves through. You can download it for free in the app stores. Just search WDIV.